You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
The Dining at Disney podcast. The Dining at Disney podcast. Your ultimate source about the wonderful world of dining at the Disneyland and Walt Disney World resorts.
If you are what you eat, then I only want to eat the good stuff.
Kristen Hoetzel Go and Jay Brattain are your guides on this culinary adventure.
We'll prepare and serve with flair a culinary cabaret.
Join them as they discuss the latest food news, expert tips, recommendations, and trip planning advice related to Disney food and dining. From quick service to fine dining, you will discover all the best restaurants and food as they hungrily explore the Disney parks.
It brings folks together from all walks of life.
The Dining at Disney podcast. And now, your host, Kristen Hoetzel Go and Jay Brattain.
Welcome to another episode of Dining at Disney podcast. This is episode 5. And the Dining at Disney podcast is your ultimate source for the wonderful world of dining at Disneyland and Disney World. As you could tell, I'm still jet lagged from being 7 hours ahead of time over in Europe. But anyways, I'm Kristen. With me is Jay, as that's what I was trying to say. How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing okay. Thank you so much.
At least you're in the same time zone as you have been for a while, right?
Exactly.
I'll tell you, being overseas for a little over 2 weeks, man, that just messes with your sense of time so much. I don't know, for some reason, it's easier for me to go there and, go, okay, I'm going to skip a night of sleep and then get into their time zone. Whereas coming back, it always takes me, it seems like 2 weeks to really adjust to being back in Nashville. It's crazy.
Yeah, I spent 5. Oh, sorry. I was going to say I spent 5 weeks in Korea before, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It's 14 hours ahead over there, and it coming back to the United States is quite an adjustment.
Wow. Yeah, because that's a big time difference.
Yeah, definitely. But it was fun. It was worth it, though. So, and I know you had a pretty good time overall. So.
I did. There were some issues here and there, but I got to see Belgium and the Netherlands, and it's beautiful. And I will say, the food in Belgium is way better than you would think it would be, and the waffles and the mussels are way better than the ones that you get during the Epcot Food and Wine Festival. Best mussels I've ever had. They were so good. But enough about that. Let's get into the Disney food news, as we call our appetizers. And I'm going to start with a few things that have come out having to do with the Disney Cruise Line. These all have to do for those of you who are 21 and older and enjoy your adult beverages, and one of them is going to be a wine tasting. And these wines are going to include some old world wines from France, Italy, and Spain, as well as some new world wines from the United States, Argentina, Australia, and a few other regions. These wines are going to be a one-on-one with the head sommelier from Palo. So that's one thing that you can book. Another is going to be whiskey and cognacs. The whiskeys include those from Scotland. They're Irish, Canadian, and American whiskeys. And they'll show you how to properly drink these whiskeys and how to recognize its aromas and flavors. For those of you into cognacs, you'll be trying a variety of those, which could include Courvoisier, Hennessy, and Remy Martin. So those are just a few things that you can check out when it comes to that. And last but not least is going to be a martini and champagne tasting. The martini tasting is going to be a variety of gin or vodka based cocktails. They're going to go with some of those classics as well as some modern twists on ones like the Cosmo or the Appletini. Then for champagne lovers, the champagne tasting is going to include ones from France and Italy, as well as some other ones around the world. You'll get to try not just champagnes, but sparkling wines like Moet and Chandon Imperial. So those are just a few of the new things that are taking place on the Disney Cruise Line that you can enjoy if you're 21 and older.
Okay. I need to interject here for a second.
Go
Disney,
for it.
What the heck is going on? Where's the beer, man? It's all about the beer. Okay, we need to have beer tasting too. Why are you neglecting the most delicious beverage available as far as alcoholic content is concerned? Oh my gosh. Please bring some beer tasting. That is what is needed. Please.
No, most times when people think of beer in the U.S., we think of, like Ireland, because you got Guinness there. Think of German beers like Beck's. Of course, American and Canadian beers. But, and what's funny is, we read these beers, especially American craft beers, and it'll say Belgian style. But you don't automatically think, and I don't even think most of us comprehend when we read Belgian style, we're like, oh, okay, it's Belgian style, whatever. Instead of thinking of Belgian beers. What's quite impressive is coming back from Belgium is they have beer stores. They don't even carry all the beers that the country makes, but they're these huge stores that all they sell is beer. In addition to the beer, you can pick up the Pilsner glasses, chalices, pint glass, whatever the vessel is that particular beer is supposed to be enjoyed in. They've got them for many of the beers. Like there's a whole, one of the stores I went into, whole wall of just glasses.
Wow,
and then
that's amazing.
And part of it, I think, has to do with most of their beers. In Tennessee, you can't purchase a high gravity beer in your normal, wherever you would normally get beer. Those have to be purchased only at a wine shop. Now, is that true in California for you guys?
Oh, no. You can get it anywhere. The only difference, I guess, is when you order a beer at a restaurant and it's a higher alcohol content, something around 8.5%, 9% and above, then basically what they do is they serve it in a smaller container. The other ones like a Budweiser or whatever, a Shock Top, something like that, you get in the huge, 20 ounce or 24 ounce mugs. Or even the big, pint, liter glasses or whatever, or double liters or whatever. Anyways, but when it comes to the higher alcohol ones, they come in and look like a goblet or, like a chalice or something like that, like a smaller chalice. So, that's, but as far as like buying them from the liquor store and or grocery store, they don't really they don't say, oh, well, you have to buy it specifically at this particular location. But I remember when I was in Kentucky and the areas in the Midwest, I remember that they were very strict about, discerning, what is going to be sold at a particular store. Like you can't get certain beers above a certain alcohol content unless you go to another specialty store or something like that.
Yeah. But they've got so many beers that are at those bars. And I was amazed at how many, and they're good beers too. So one thing is it's that, it's a tiny country. Belgium's not very big, but they have more than 3,000 breweries.
Wow, that's amazing.
So for beer drinkers, you could go and you could easily go and have 2-3 beers a day, different beers each day, and in 2 years still not drink all of the beers that Belgium has to offer. So that was one of the cool things.
Yeah, sounds like my home away from home.
Oh, All I did was drink beer. I was like, why am I going to spend just as much money on a bottle of water as I can for beer?
Right.
So I drank beer. And of course, the beer is better than the wine there because they're not known for being a wine growing region. So
Right. Cool.
But I agree with you. It would be nice to see Disney do more beer tastings. During Epcot Food and Wine Festival, they do those, but you don't hear about them any other time. So I second that. I think they should do more of them.
Speaking of alcohol, I know that I saw a story online about Dockside Margaritas being open in downtown Disney.
Yes, they are now open, and it's going to be a tropical colored margarita stand, and it sits waterfront, so you can enjoy music there about 2:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Sundays through Thursday, and then from 12:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. So it's going to be a really nice place to kind of sit back, relax, people watch, and enjoy a nice margarita. Some of the margaritas that are available is going to be a habanero lime margarita. Now I can tell you that one has my name on it, and I have to try that as soon as possible. It is Patron Silver Tequila, habanero lime, fresh lime juice, and Florida sugarcane simple syrup. That one, I'm there. That's my type of margarita. I like the sweet and the spicy together. So I'm looking forward to that. There's also a sunset margarita, which is going to be a little bit more on the sweet side. So you've got Casamingo. I'm horrible. I can't talk.
It's okay.
Reposado tequila, Cointreau, fresh lime juice, sweet and sour, and orange juice. If margaritas aren't your thing, you can get the Florida Citrus Freeze, which is Florida Cane Orlando Orange Vodka and peach schnapps blended with orange puree. So they have that. And a few beers for the beer lovers. You can get the Orange Blossom Pilsner, Bold City Duke's Brown Ale, and Cigar City Haya Alai IPA. So
wow. That's amazing. You know, actually, I was looking at, and when I first heard about this opening of Dockside Margaritas, I was like, well, hopefully it's not going to be like the Rita's Baja Blenders at DCA, because that place is a bit disappointing, honestly. I mean, it felt like when they opened it, it was sort of trying to cater like, oh, it's an adult beverage, but they basically made it sans alcohol for a lot of them, and they were like, well, okay, you can add alcohol to it, but I was like, no, and you know, that's kind of the essential element of a margarita is, you know, the alcohol, you know, that's what makes it, you know, the way it is. And so when they opened that up, I was a little bit disappointed. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh man, this is going to be another place like that. But then I saw it and I was like, no, this is actually legit. I mean, they actually, the Rita's Margaritas, or Rita's, I'm sorry, I call it Rita's Margaritas. It's actually Rita's Baja Blenders at DCA is, you know, needs to kind of take a page from this place's book and start emulating what they're doing over there.
If I remember right, those are the kind that come from the frozen machines, right?
Yeah, basically they're slushies for the most part. I mean, you know, they really don't have, you know, a large selection of drinks, and the drinks that they do have, you know, really kind of unimaginative. I mean, they have a lemon lime margarita, strawberry one, and then they do have the actually, you know, I'm just looking at their menu right now, and there's basically the lemon lime margarita or the Tropic Cool strawberry, and that's it. And then you know, one you can, you know, and then you can add alcohol, which is the Rita's Grand Margarita, which is has a splash of liqueur in it, and whatever. So yeah, definitely this Dockside Margaritas is the place to be when it comes to margaritas, from what it seems.
And I will say I'm really excited to see this open. Over in Epcot, there's 2 excellent places to get margaritas. One of them is always busy, and during Food and Wine, you can't go up to the bar and stand there. It is the to-go line, because the place is always packed. There's unless you get there when they open at noon, you're pretty much going to have to wait. It's a small little place. It's called La Cava del Tequila, and I love that little bar. You know, they've got nice margaritas. They have the best sangria that I have ever had, and it's really the only reason I ever do a tequila shot there is because I want the sangria. And then also owned by the same company is the waterfront restaurant in Epcot, La Hacienda de San Angel, which is open for dinner, and they have fantastic margaritas there as well. So I'm excited to see this. I think it's going to be a very popular place to grab drinks from.
And if that wasn't enough alcohol for you, another alcohol related story. Hey, we got a recurring theme going on here today.
Oh, I know.
Well, it's not just alcohol though. It's there is some food right there, right?
Yes, there is. That is the Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic. This is one of my favorite events that takes place during Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. When that goes on, other resorts that are on Disney property, such as Waldorf Astoria, and its sister hotel next to it, Hilton Bonnet Creek, they do some things on the weekends, as well as Swan and Dolphin. One weekend only, they do what they call their Food and Wine Classic. And for those of you that have been to Disney World, you know there's a nice space between the Dolphin and the Swan. There's a little walkway there. Well, they use that whole walkway set up with little booths. And there's more than 40 of them that feature food and wine. I mean, it's along that causeway. It's amazing. It has featured wineries. There's also beer. Typically, it's one beer table, and then they have food from all of their restaurants. So if you're a fan of Todd English's Blue Zoo, or you like Il Molino, all of those places have something set up. And it's good stuff. It's not like, and it's a good sized portion. Garden Grove 2 years in a row. And the menus are different both on Friday and Saturday night, except for Shula's typically keeps the same steak menu, which it's awesome. So it's a good thing that whichever night you go, or if you're going both nights, you can get that steak. But they had this nice piece. I would say it was maybe almost an inch thick and about maybe 3 by 3 of cod, and served with chips that had a vinegar seasoning to them. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And everything, you can watch them making the food.
Oh, wow.
Which is even cooler.
Yeah, definitely. It's like dinner theater.
Right?
Yeah.
Todd English is there. So it's one of the, if you're a fan of his, you can walk up and get your picture with him. If you have one of his cookbooks, I wouldn't hesitate to walk up and, tell him you're a fan and you would love his autograph on your cookbook. He's a really nice guy. I interviewed him last year during this event, and was a lot of fun to interview him because he's truly passionate and loves food. And I think that's always nice to see in a chef who's been cooking for a long time. Many of us do something we love, and after a while you kind of get burnt out a little bit at some point. and maybe lose a little bit of that passion and intensity for it. But yeah, you hear him talk about food, and the look on his face, the way he talks about it is really nice. But the event, the tickets are available. The price is $105 per person. This is unlimited tasting of food and wine. So you can, if there's one thing you like so much, go back and get it over and over again. And if you don't like it, don't feel bad about taking that one bite and then throwing it away. If you want to do the beer garden, which has tons of beer, they also they feature craft beers as well as Oktoberfest inspired food. So if you love German food, add that to your ticket for another $20, making it $125 per person for that. I do have the link online for purchasing those, as well as the phone number, and as well as it includes links to the mixology, modern mixology and beer police seminars that I attended in the past, as well as reviews of the previous events. You can see all the yummy, yummy food photos there, which will make it even harder for you to go, I think I'm going to pass. I think you look at it here and go, ooh, I have to try that. And last but not least, for Walt Disney World, I've got that the Boathouse is now open. So downtown Disney, waterfront dining. It's got it's located in the area that's going to be referred to as the Landing at Disney Springs, and it's got a decor from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It seats a good bit of people. There's 600, 400 are indoor, and 200 outside. So that's a substantial amount of outdoor seating.
Yeah, I saw
nice outside view.
Yeah, I wrote a story about this, the preview, and one of the things that people were, I wouldn't say up in arms about, but they definitely opened their eyes about this restaurant, is that $115 steak. I was like, what? $115, really? Oh my gosh. But it looks good. It looks amazing. I mean, at least from the pictures that I've seen online. I don't know. Have you gotten any feedback from people who've been there yet?
I have not, and I actually have messaged Tony over at Disney by the Numbers, as well as Raphael from DeMouse, because both of them are local and both of them love food. So I'm trying to find out if either of them have been, and if they have, I'm going to be asking for a brief review of what they've tried so far. And that steak that you're talking about, the tomahawk long bone rib chop, have you ever had one of those?
No, I've seen it. In fact, down the street from where I live, there's a restaurant that features something similar to this, but they only charge $100. So, whatever.
Now, see, I got to sample one of these types of steaks at Waldorf Astoria. Oh my gosh. It's and I'm a picky steak eater. It's got to be cooked just right. If it's overcooked, I don't want anything to do with it. I will pass it off. And this was absolutely amazing. I could have eaten the whole thing, but again, it was sampling of their dishes,
right,
at Bull and Bear, and that was nice. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it is impressive, yeah.
Yeah, the prices are a little, they're going to be on the higher end, more like what you're going to expect at one of Disney's signature dining restaurants. So,
but this isn't. Is this? Yeah, I was going to say, is this actually classified as a signature dining place, though?
Do you know what? I have not looked yet, but I would assume it's going to be listed there after looking at the prices. And I'm not aware yet if it takes the Disney dining plan. I haven't looked at that yet. As I said, I've been out of the country, so I'm still trying to adjust. And I was like, of all times to be out of the country for over 2 weeks, I'm looking and I'm like, food news after food news after food news. I'm like, I have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the menu looks amazing.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. You know, I'm not so much a steak person per se, but you know, I don't mind a good steak here and there. But what I'm really looking at, you know, for my own, you know, my own personal, you know, I guess love for seafood is that the beach and sea lobster bake is like, wow, really? Like that looks pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Because we you know, over here in California, we don't really do the bake per se. You know, they do. I know you guys have that a lot there on the East Coast, but really here it just, you know, seafood is seafood. You know, we don't try to, you know, throw it all together and put corn and things like that. So when I see something like that, it's really impressive, and it's something that makes my mouth water. I'm like, yeah, I want to try all that. So.
Yeah, it's a very, very New England thing, and it's fun to do that. I've done like a shrimp boil, and you throw the corn in and all of that kind of stuff, you know, with a little bit of Old Bay seasoning, and it's fun for parties. You know, if you got a group of friends get together and you're like, hey, you bring shrimp, you bring this, I've got this, and you know, everybody gets together, you drink and eat and just have fun. So let's see what else is on the menu. They do have a raw bar, so if you're into oysters on the half shell, you like, let's see, wild caught Baja cocktail shrimp. I must say the Laughing Bird shrimp ceviche is like right up my alley. That sounds really good.
Yeah, definitely. Any of the seafood items right up my alley. So.
And there's so much seafood.
I know there is.
I mean,
and that's all.
I did see that they have a half rotisserie Amish chicken for somebody who is not a seafood person.
Right.
There's a Gibson Sandwich King burger hop champion. So that sounds like that's going to be one of those like monster size hamburgers. So they do have, you know, a few things if you're not a seafood eater, but it really does, I mean, looking at the menu, focus on that seafood. So
sounds awesome.
For dessert, of course you have to have dessert, and I like that they've got key lime pie in a jar. I'm like, that's a cool way to serve that. And a s'mores baked Alaska for $4.
Yeah,
that's
quite
going to be a pretty big dessert. So yes, very impressive, yummy looking, yummy sounding, mouth-watering menu. And I'm working on figuring out how I can get down there just to eat there. So
there you go. And if anybody,
no. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Finish your sentence, because I was going to kind of conclude with if people want to take a look at the menu or whatever. But go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say that is all of the Disney Cruise Line and Disney World food news that I have. And
okay.
A lot of this will be up online on our site. So as always, we do put that in the show notes.
Definitely. And actually the link that we'll put in the show notes, you can look at our story maybe. And that way, or we'll have both the Disney Parks link and also the story from what I wrote. That way you can take a look at the entire menu listing with all the prices and everything like that. Apparently the for a while. I haven't checked the website lately, but apparently the menu was not showing on the Walt Disney World website. But on the what is it? The My Disney Experience app or something like that. Is that what it's called? My Disney Experience?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have it out here in California. So, anyways, that app, apparently they had the menu listing there. So I went down the entire list and threw it on the website. So you can take a look at it if you're interested in dining there, which I think it'd be maybe worthwhile. And yes, it does cost a little extra money, but hey, sometimes you got to splurge, right?
Yes, every now and then you have to.
There you go. So
okay, so I know you've got all kinds of Disneyland news too.
Oh yeah. In case people haven't noticed, in the background here we have Mr. Olaf. Yes.
I want him.
Yes, we have Mr. Olaf. He is here. I got him. And this actually, it was surprising. My wife and I went this past Wednesday to Disneyland, and we scoured the entire resort. My wife knew this was coming out and she wanted it. And so we had lunch there, and we went to Cafe Orleans, and then we checked out all the different lands, and at each of the locations we're seeing where hey, do they have the Olaf Sipper? Nowhere in Disneyland. And then we went over to DCA. Initially, we went around to the various Paradise Pier and other parts of the park. And I told my wife, it was kind of late afternoon and it was before dinner. And I was like, I want to check out, just to see how things are going at the Frozen section near Hollywood Studios. She's like, oh, okay, that's fine. So we walked by Award Wieners, and I was like, oh, there it is. Let's get it. So we saw it and then we got it. $9.99. It's not too bad. Not too bad of a deal.
No, not at all.
With a drink. And also just inside tip for people who don't want to mess up their drink containers here. You can actually ask for the drink to be put in a cup on the side, and so then that way they don't fill Mr. Olaf or whatever the sipper is that you have with the beverage, and so keeps it nice and clean.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. But apparently what the cast member told me at Award Wieners was that they had just got the shipment that day, and that no other location had the sipper. By now, I don't know if they have distributed to other locations around the resort. Hopefully they have. But worst case scenario, if you go to Disneyland in the next few days or whatever from the time that you see this podcast, you should definitely check out Award Wieners and see if they still have any more in stock. But of course, as soon as word got out that these sippers were out and about, then kind of the whole Facebook, the whole social media, the whole universe kind of exploded, like, oh, this Olaf sippers and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if they're getting additional stock or if it's just kind of going to be a limited time thing, because I know from the Disney Parks blog that they had indicated Disney World wasn't going to get them till May 22nd, which is like almost over a month away. So that's quite surprising, actually.
I have a feeling it's because that's when they're going to kick off the Frozen summer fun again, and they're waiting to have them till then.
But one thing you guys do have is the Cinderella popcorn bucket, which we don't have at Disneyland still, which is a total bummer. I mean, the movie came out last month, right? And we looked everywhere for around the entire resort for them. And I know that you guys have been selling them for quite a while over at Disney World. So I'm like, well, why aren't you selling them here? And none of the cast members had an answer for me. So, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but hopefully we'll get them sometime soon. I mean, they've made promises that it will come, but
yeah, I mean, that's what was in the article.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, when is it coming? And I'm assuming they're not going to wait until the release, for May 22nd when, they kick off the Disneyland Diamond 60th anniversary celebration, because they're going to have all kinds of, merchandise available, other popcorn buckets and other sippers and stuff like that. So why would you, release it at the same time as all the other things? So I'm not sure what's going on, and I just hopefully it comes, sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be a shame if they held off till then.
Yeah, exactly. But whatever. Speaking of DCA, since we're on the topic, we discussed that Smokejumpers Grill had just opened up, and I believe we said it just opened up, right? Or did we say it was going to open up? Regardless, we do have
it all starts to run together after a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's all these news items, with all the stuff coming out. Regardless, we do have a person, Michelle Murry, that helps us here on the diningatdisney.com website and stuff. And she actually had a firsthand encounter with the restaurant, and I saw it for myself, by the way. So it's a fun place to be. But she was able to try the food, and you can read the review of the entire thing. And I guess the best way to summarize her experiences, whatever. It's a burger, and she said that the cheese slice was a bit small. I saw the bacon; it was thinly cut. I mean, I'm talking like you look at it and you can read a newspaper through that sucker, and so it was very, very thin piece of bacon, which is whatever. At least it provided some bacon flavor. And then I did see the toppings bar in person, and it looks quite impressive, actually. It looks better than they had at Taste Pilot's Grill. It just seems like there's more selections available, and at least the time that I went, the toppings were really fresh. I'm talking about, it was bountiful. It was very clean. The stations were clean. The ingredients looked fresh. It wasn't, I remember at Taste Pilot's Grill, I went there one time and I was like, I saw the tomatoes, like, I don't know about that. I kind of felt a little bit sketchy about, putting tomatoes in my burger, looking at them. But this time around, I mean, they look very healthy and plump. And, so I think that they may be paying attention more to quality control this time around. So hopefully that's the case. And
I know it can be hard when it comes to tomatoes, if they're out of season, for them to look
right
the way you want them to. They start looking a little.
California, tomatoes are season, all season around. So.
But that doesn't mean Disney's getting California tomatoes either.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, so last thing I have to speak about for all us people with moms, which is pretty much the entire population. This May is going to be Mother's Day, obviously, May 10th, I believe. Let me double check that. I'm a bad son. Sorry, Mom. Anyways, yeah, I believe it is May 10th, right? I'm looking at the calendar. Sorry, folks. Yep, May 10th. I was right. So there you go. Anyhow,
better than I am.
Yeah, there you go. So May 10th, they're going to have specialty menu items. Carnation Cafe is going to have a teriyaki honey grilled salmon with a spinach orzo. Jolly Holiday, the Fiddler, Pfeiffer, Practical Cafe, and the Pacific Wharf Cafe are all having this red velvet cupcake, which looks interesting. It's going to come with a white chocolate mousse frosting, white chocolate flour, the heart and garnish with strawberry chocolate curls, which I thought was really, really cool. If you look at it, I mean, I don't know if this was like a concept that they visualized for Valentine's Day and just said, oh, well, we didn't get out in time, so let's just, do it for Mother's Day. But anyways, it looks cute.
It kind of made me think Valentine's Day, too, when I saw it.
Right, exactly. And then over at Bengal Barbecue, which I was surprised because they almost never do any specialty menu items, but they're going to have a jambalaya skewer. So, I may not be celebrating, Mother's Day with my mother at Disneyland, but I'll definitely get that jambalaya skewer for sure.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it does actually. Then Blue Bayou Restaurant, they have a crayfish and herb crusted roasted sea bass with an angel hair pasta. And then at Carthay Circle Restaurant, if you're in the mood for brunch, they have a Carthay Benedict, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's two poached eggs served on these filet medallions, cornbread and black beans, and then it's going to be dressed with a poblano chili hollandaise sauce, which, if you look at, I mean, it's very Southwestern style in terms of the ingredients. So, and it seems like it might be a little spicy. So I'm not sure if this is just something that they concocted, for some other occasion, and they're just kind of throwing it out there as this specialty item for Mother's Day or what. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like very motherly, personally.
It sounds more like a Father's Day menu.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I kind of expected to have lobster when it said Mother's Day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, something more comfort food, something creamy, something sweet, maybe. But this kind of, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I'm kind of with you in the Father's Day classification there. But also, if you are going to be celebrating Mother's Day at Disneyland, and Mom likes Disneyland, just like a lot of people, they are going to have a special brunch, buffet brunch at Storytellers Cafe at Disney's PCH Grill, which is at the Paradise Pier Hotel, and then Goofy's Kitchen, which is the Disneyland Hotel. And Storytellers, by the way, is in Grand Californian, in case people didn't know. But I'm not sure. One of the things they didn't elaborate on was, what type of specialty dishes they may have for that buffet. I know they do like an Easter buffet, they do Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if it's all the same or if, there's some kind of variations in there. One of these days, I'm going to spend the extra money to go one of these buffet brunches, but it just, at this point, I haven't really kind of felt compelled to do that. But anyways, regardless, it should be a fun time.
The only place I've had brunch was at Goofy's Kitchen. That was a few years ago, but I really liked it. I thought the food was pretty good, and there was quite a wide variety. And if you're looking to meet characters, there was tons of them, way more than any restaurant at Disney World has at one time. Because I want to say we saw Chip, Dale, Goofy, Jasmine. Who else do we see? We saw like 2 or 3 other characters while we were there. And I was like, that's a lot of characters to see at one character breakfast or brunch.
Yeah, from what I understand, Goofy's Kitchen actually has the most characters of any of the places, even for breakfast. But I mean, I don't know firsthand. I did go to Goofy's Kitchen before, and there were quite a few characters. And in fact, I guess I could concur with that assessment that there were more characters at that breakfast than there were at the other places. I have not been to Disney's PCH Grill yet, but I have been to Storytellers Cafe and been to the Minis. And it seems like Goofy's Kitchen, it was not only a lot of characters, but they came in sort of rapid succession. So you were constantly entertained by characters coming by your place. So if you have kids, or if you're a kid at heart like us, then you definitely find a lot of special characters there at breakfast that can make your day to start. So that's it. That's all that's news, and that's actually quite a. Oh, sorry.
Wasn't there some 60th anniversary food and drinks that were announced?
Yes, I skipped that. There is going to be lots of special 60th anniversary things coming out. At this point, the 60th anniversary announcements have primarily focused on these drinks. And, when I first heard about this and I read the news article, I was like, oh man, look at all these new beverages that they're offering. But it's kind of like variations on the same theme. They're all frozen lemonades. It's just some with different flavorings. I know at the Troubadour Tavern, which is in Fantasyland, they are going to have a cherry, they call it enchanted cherry apple frozen lemonade. And then at the Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe, they're going to have a frozen pomegranate silver. They call it the frozen pomegranate silver sparkler. But it doesn't say what that is, but my gut feeling is that it's probably like a pomegranate frozen lemonade, just based on the other drinks.
I was going to say it sounds like a of that.
Right. And then over at Critter Country at the Hungry Bear restaurant, they're going to have a honey bee frozen lemonade. And that one is... that
sounds good.
Yeah, that it's going to be mixed with... oh, no, it doesn't say what it's made of, but who knows? Maybe it'll be a honey-flavored lemonade with strawberry or something. I don't know. But
I could just see it be honey, like a honey-flavored lemonade. Because when you think about it, when you're sick and your throat hurts, mom, at least my mom and grandmother did, then you have hot tea with lemon and honey. So it would make sense that you would just put those two together. I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah,
I love that place. That's one of my favorite quick service locations at Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And then continuing with our little frozen lemonade parade here, we've got the Wild Raspberry Rapids frozen lemonade, which is not in any of the parks. It's actually at the Whitewater Snacks location in Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. And then finally, at DCA, they have a Lucky Fortune tea, which they say it's a mixture of tea, mango, and red passion fruit. It doesn't specify what type of tea, but I read somewhere else that actually it is going to be a green tea, and that should be pretty fun. I'm kind of looking forward to trying that one myself personally. I'm not into the slushies so much, but for that, I mean, unless it has alcohol, then I'm into the slushies. But when it comes to like just flavored beverages and slushies and stuff like that, my wife likes them more than I do, but I'm always down to try them.
I'll try anything once, but I'm not a slushy person either. I feel that it's so much ice that it waters down the flavor. So like if I'm getting a margarita, unless it's one that I really, really like, I will never and it only comes frozen. I never get anything frozen.
Yeah. So, and then as far as food is concerned, not too much is announced at this point. The only thing that they're featuring, or at least with this particular news release, is that they're going to have 2 specialty cupcakes. Now, I thought it was interesting that they're trying to theme the food according to the park. And so I don't know if this is going to be something that's going to be continuous for the subsequent specialty foods available at the park or not. But I thought this was it is only a minor difference. Basically, here's the deal: is that Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe is going to have a lemon cupcake, and it's supposed to symbolize a Victorian era theme of Main Street. Then at DCA, they're going to symbolize the 1930s theme of Buena Vista Street with an orange cupcake. So I don't know how much you know about California history, but during the 1930s, one of the things, or even in the 1920s, one of the things that people sent as a high-end gift was like a crate or oranges from California. I mean, that was like one of these luxury items that they didn't have on the East Coast. Not Florida. Florida obviously had oranges, but like New York and stuff like that. I don't know. It seemed like California oranges were like supposedly a symbol of prosperity and things like that. And that's one of the things that I guess they're trying to represent here with this cupcake. But whether that's
Same
Yeah, the
thing,
lemons too. Yeah, lemons were very popular, but that was even earlier than that point. I mean, Victorian era, you're talking about, turn of the century, late 19th century, early 20th century era.
Yeah. I did not know that. So I got a little bit of California history.
There you go.
Which is good because that explains the use of the ingredients, which I'm sure unless you're from California and took California history, probably wouldn't know that. So
right. Well, it's
good.
just because of the popularity of Hollywood. Movies really became a popular medium during the 1920s, and people recognized Hollywood as like the capital of all the films, and so that's the reason why like they wanted a piece of California, so to speak, and oranges were representative of that. And Florida, I know oranges have been around a long time in Florida, but it just Hollywood, Florida was, people didn't know Hollywood, Florida, they knew Hollywood, California, so anyways, regardless.
What's interesting is Hollywood, Florida, still nobody ever think of. And unlike Disney, which is, I think it's so interesting that both parks are in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
That just always is interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I have to wonder if that was planned.
I don't know. Well, because the original intent was Walt was going to open it in L.A. near the Walt Disney Studios, but he couldn't get enough land and he couldn't get the approval from the city council. So that's the reason why that they looked elsewhere. I'm not sure. I think that from what I recollect, they chose Anaheim because of its location and proximity to the freeway, and land was a lot cheaper back then, and it's still within a reasonable driving distance to the Walt Disney Studios. But for a full history on that, there's some tons of books out there that people can check out. So anyhow, but yeah, on to our feature story, our main dish, right?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
So what do we got today?
Well, we actually had a friend of ours named Mark L. He wrote in, and he asked a lot of really great questions, actually. He sent an email with 3 primary focal points here. So we'll kind of break them down one by one, and then we'll just answer them as we progress here. Single file, I guess, if you will. I don't know. We'll just do one at a time. I guess my thing, as I'm stumbling over my words here, I'm just saying let's take it one at a time, because I don't want to answer, like ask all 3 questions and then confuse people like, oh wait, what was the second question again? So anyways, yeah, so here's the first question. What is the ideal theme park for food for you? Meaning, do you need quick service grab and go meals, or sit down being served meals? Perhaps a combination of both. Do fancier restaurants belong in theme parks? If so, why or why not? So that's the first question. What do you? Let's get. I'd like to know your answer first, Kristen.
Okay. My ideal theme park food depends on my mood and my need for that day. Some days I'm, it's a day that I want to get a lot done in the park. Like, okay, I'm in the need to get my attraction fix, and so I must, hit this, and this. In that case, then I'm gonna look for a quick service meal that I can get that's good, and then I can get on to go do the next thing. Now, more often than not, I'm a sit down kind of person. I like to sit, talk, which do a lot of, eat and drink. So I can easily spend 2 to 3 hours at a table service restaurant and not even notice it. But when I eat, I do also order a drink. I'm not at a table service restaurant. I'm going to have beer. I'm going to have wine. I'm going to have a cocktail. Maybe I'll have one or two along with my food. And so it's, to me, that conversation and food and drink all go hand in hand. And as far as fancier restaurants, like I said, I like to just kind of relax. It's a time for me to like get off my feet and chit chat with whoever I'm with, because when you're in the parks and you're riding attractions, you can't sit in a theater and have a conversation while watching Aladdin or Finding Nemo, one of those kinds of things. You can't talk. People around you aren't going to like you very much if you do. Right. And when you're riding Tower of Terror or Space Mountain, you're not really talking either. So that's the time of day that you do those things. And a fancier restaurant, whether it be like Carthay Circle or Hollywood Brown Derby, any of those kinds of places, it gives you a little bit more of the ability to relax and take that breath and not feel rushed at all, because those places do have a higher end menu. You are going to be looking at those times, even if you're not somebody who likes to normally sits down and drinks with the meal, those places you're much more likely to go, well, I'm having this steak, so I'm going to have, a beer or glass of red wine with it. And I'm going to have a dessert. And that gives you that kind of thing. And normally when you book those, you're not going to find an awful lot of kids, because parents, really are more in a hurry when you have little kids. They don't want to sit there and relax. They want to go see, they're in a hurry. They need to go see Belle, or they need to go see Mickey or Minnie or something like that. So you're not going to, many times, unless you have one of those kids that's a little bit more on the unusual side, it kind of gives the adults a break, I think. So I say yes, they belong there. Of course, not as many, because you do need more family-friendly type restaurants. So, okay, that's cool. Mine. What do you think?
My ideal theme park food, this is such a difficult topic. It's because there's so many choices out there, and I guess I'm like you in regards to it depends on my mood. Some days I feel like, I just want to kind of grab and go something, Dole Whip or whatever, just to kind of have a little snack, just to get by, place to place or whatever. But then there's other times that I want to sit down, relax. Cafe Arlene's, for example, my wife and I went there this past Wednesday. But is there really an ideal theme park food? If I had to choose any place that would be idyllic, it would be, I guess, Jolly Holiday, really. The quality of the food is really great. It's a restaurant that's themed really well, and the service is fast. And you get a large selection of items. So I guess that would be the restaurant. So I don't know if it's the food per se, but it's actually, the restaurant. If I had to choose a restaurant that's ideal for a theme park, then that would be it. As far as the sit down, let's see, combination of both. Well, that kind of answers the question. It is a combination of both. Now, do fancier restaurants belong in theme parks? I would say absolutely yes. Disneyland, one of the places in Disneyland that really stands out to me is the Blue Bayou restaurant. It's one of those restaurants that really makes Disneyland special. You're sitting on the edge of a streaming water, ride, and seeing people going through the attraction. You have just an outstanding atmosphere, outstanding service. The food is really good. So, you know, I mean, that to me is, you know, definitely something that exemplifies of why a theme, you know, why a fancy restaurant belongs in a theme park. I mean, it just, that's like, you can't get a better example than that. So the second question is how important are themed meals in relation to the land in which the restaurant is located in terms of the overall experience? For example, how does French Creole food help sell the illusion that you're in New Orleans Square? And should there only be that type of food in that land? Kristen, you want to answer that first?
Wow, that's wow. Let's see. I'm trying to think as it relates to Walt Disney World, because it encompasses so much more. As you know, having 4 parks.
Right.
And even those parks pretty much do the same thing. You go to Disney's Animal Kingdom, and in Asia you have Yak and Yeti. I'm just trying to think if there's something that's kind of out of place there. Tusker House, same thing, African inspired food. And I do like that they do that. I think if it's quick service, it doesn't have to necessarily just be that, because you do then again have families. And, you know, when I've gone with my best friend and her son, you know, he's your typical kid. He's not into, ooh, let me have jambalaya. You know, he's like, I want a hot dog. I want pizza, and I don't want unique pizza. Like, I want cheese and pepperoni on my pizza, you know? So I think having, and we've been known to, with him, stop and pick up in Epcot. We would go over to one of the other pavilions, get him something that was to his liking, take it with us, and her and I eat a meal that we wanted at the sit-down restaurant, which fit the theme, and to where he could sit there and enjoy his hamburger and french fries, or chicken tenders and fries. And that way it suited everybody. But I think in general, yeah, it makes sense to have that. I mean, when you go to New Orleans, what do you, and you're not from there, what kind of food are you looking for? You're looking for Cajun. You're looking for Creole. You're looking at food that location eats. Even when you travel to another country, when you're going to Italy, yeah, of course they're going to have some Chinese food and things like that, but you're looking for that traditional native food to that country, that region, even that city. And so it makes sense for those to be that way. And I like it. It's you know, if I'm walking around there, chances are, you know, you kind of have in your mind earlier in the day, like, hey, you know, I think I'm craving Mexican. And so you're going to go to an area, you're going to kind of, let's eat here this afternoon, and plan your route through the park kind of around that mentality, unless you're a complete, anything works for me, and I don't really, you know, I can eat anything, and so I don't need to plan it that way. Whatever's in that particular land, I'm good for.
Cool.
What do you think?
You know what, I actually think it is kind of important to have themed food that's relational to land. Like, for example, I think we discussed this the last episode about the churros, and how, or not churros, yeah, it was churros, right? No, turkey legs, right?
It was the moving of the turkey legs at Walt Disney World, because they moved them from Frontierland and Square over to Tomorrowland.
Right.
So I guess even with snacks, we were both saying that they have a place where they belong.
Right, exactly. So here's the thing. I mean, and I'll just use churros as my example. Turkey legs are a good example as well. But when I eat a churro in Tomorrowland, it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as special as eating a churro in Frontierland. Or even along Main Street. I mean, a churro on Main Street, it's nice as well. But I don't know, something about eating a churro in Tomorrowland just doesn't feel right. I mean, yeah, sure, it gets the job done if you're in the mood for a churro, but it doesn't have that same special feeling. As far as like, does it should there only be that type of food in the land? I guess yes and no. You have to make the food unique to the land in order to help enhance the illusion, I guess. I mean, just kind of reuse the same word here. Reinforce, I guess, the illusion that you're in a particular place. If I don't know, eating a chimichanga in New Orleans Square, just I don't know, just doesn't feel right. It's just one of those things that it kind of helps to enhance the ambiance, enhance the atmosphere and stuff like that. So I do think that it should be not necessarily one type of food, because as you pointed out with kids, I mean, they want a cheese pizza or a hot dog, or a hamburger or whatever, and that's fine and well, but the thing is that the part of the reasons of making each land distinct is the food, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the thing. I would say yes, that there should be only that type of food in that particular land.
The only land I can think of that doesn't have a particular style of food is Tomorrowland.
Right.
And if you look at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland, offer more traditional American style food. It is hamburgers and hot dogs, chicken nuggets, pizza. It's that kind of maybe neutral food. Maybe
just just
basic.
I guess basic American fast food. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's Red Rocket's Pizza Port in Tomorrowland in Disneyland, and then Tomorrowland Terrace, which basically has burgers and chicken. They did have a fish sandwich for a while, and I actually kind of like that sandwich. The only issue with that sandwich was the fact that it was on a very cold bun, and it's a little bit stale. So, but I mean, as far as the flavors were concerned, it was pretty good. And I don't know. I guess that was their attempt at being daring, but they've removed it since that point. They brought back a grilled chicken sandwich, which whatever. So.
And see, at Disney World, there is a Tomorrowland Terrace, which hasn't been in regular use in many years, but when it was hamburgers, hot dogs, and chicken tenders. And then the other location is the lunching pad, and its specialty is hot dogs. And then the other place is Anti-Gravity's, and they have smoothies and cold coffee drinks. So it's, again, very, simple American dishes. So
yeah, cool. Last question. He says, what would you like to see Disney do in terms of newer type of dishes or restaurants? Oh boy. I mean, there's so much, but I think we should kind of limit it to like 2 sentences or 3 sentences, because I'm sure we could elaborate on this forever.
Okay, I'm going to say, when it comes to Disney World, I would like to see the quick service restaurants offer more unique items like Disneyland does. Your quick service restaurants have more variety. It's not so much the hamburgers and hot dogs, pizza, and chicken. Whereas a lot of the restaurants at Disney have done that. And some of the locations are more like a seasonal thing, and they've gone from having a great unique menu to it's got chicken tenders and fries. And I do like that about Disneyland and would really like to see Disney World do the same. As far as restaurants, since they have closed the backlot tour in Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is right outside of Pixar Place, I would like to see them open a ratatouille French style restaurant. So
cool.
That's mine.
You know, for me, I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, Disneyland is pretty unique in terms of the quick service restaurants, and so I don't really have a whole lot to complain about. However, I have noticed recently that they're sort of homogenizing a lot of the quick service restaurants. So I don't know. Hopefully, that's not a trend that's going to continue, and that they can kind of keep the unique dishes that are available at all the different places. But one thing I did notice, in which I hope is a trend to continue for the table service restaurants and well, we don't have signature dining per se, but at the higher end restaurants or whatever, is that they're becoming a little more daring with their menu. For example, I wrote a story about was it last week actually, about Steakhouse 55 and their new menu. And one of the dishes that stood out to me was they had a smoked filet mignon tartare, which I was like, wait, do you have tartare? Really? I mean, raw meat. Like I was actually flabbergasted when I first saw that, and I was like, oh, I told my wife, I was like, as soon as I saw that news release, I was like, oh, we got to go there as soon as possible. And we did try it, and it's really good. And I was just, that like actually stunned me that they would be so adventurous with their offering. Also, another thing that they had was the broiled Kumamoto oysters. They had the ratatouille meatballs, which is made with it's vegetarian, vegan friendly. And so I was really surprised that they're kind of going out of the box or getting out of their comfort zone, I guess, if you will, from the traditional steakhouse menu that they had there for so many years. So I'm hoping that other places like Blue Bayou will take note. Blue Bayou actually did introduce a rack of lamb, I believe it was. If I don't have the menu in front of me, but I think they had like a lamb dish, which was something fairly new, and I thought that was really great. And then Napa Rose is constantly changing their menu, so I mean it's always seasonal, and Andrew Sutton just like whatever, I'm going to do whatever I want, so Napa Rose you never have to worry about as far as the cutting edge is concerned. But I'm hoping that sort of disseminates among the other restaurants, and they continue that trend. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Napa Rose and what Andrew Sutton does. His menus are spot on. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I happen to think of one more restaurant related thing. Okay. I am hoping because I'm sure you've heard them rumors of Star Wars Land coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. And if it happens, I want them to turn the Backlot Express into the cantina. So there's my last bit.
I agree with you, except my only thing is I hope that they do it for Tomorrowland Terrace, because Tomorrowland, let's face it, it's too hard to keep up with Tomorrowland, it just, to me, it seems like an ideal location. I mean, they already have little Star Wars shows there with the kids, doing their little, lightsaber, training, Jedi training academy or whatever. So, just go all the way and just turn that into, the cantina as well at Disneyland. So
that would be cool.
Yeah,
I'd also like to see more Marvel stuff going on at your park, since we can't have that out this way.
Right. Cool.
So, okay, let's talk about our dining tips. So, on to dessert. What is your big tip?
Oh, just a real simple tip, actually. As the summer months are coming up here, the temperatures are gonna get hot. And I mean, maybe not as bad as Orlando, but it does get pretty hot here. And once in a while, even gets around the 100-degree mark. And when it does, you definitely want to have some water. The thing is that that you can get, they do have the drinking fountains around the parks, but I don't know if I trust those. It's one of those kind of, you don't know who's been there, and I just would rather be a little safer with my own water bottle. I mean, of course, and if for some reason you forget your water bottle, there is definitely a secondary source, which you can go to the Disneyland restaurants, even the quick service establishments, and you can ask them for a cup of water and they won't charge you. So, bring a water bottle if possible. If not, then you can definitely check around the restaurants and get a cup of water. And if you can avoid the drinking fountains, I would say that's a good thing to do. So.
I don't even remember the last time I used a drinking fountain. I will not. They're gross.
Right.
They're like, seriously, it's one of those things that you watch one of those things on TV, and it tells you like these are the dirtiest places, like in a hotel room. Yeah, right. One of the most like germ contaminated place is a drinking fountain. So I refuse to use them. But I always do the same thing. I bring a bottle of water with me because Florida's water is tastes like what you would expect toilet water to taste like.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. The water is just gross. But most of the restaurants, their filtered water through their soda machines tastes normal. And so you can get a cup of that. And even if it has a slightly funny taste, it's not like other location. Like if you were to get it from like the bathroom or your hotel room or whatever. But a lot of people take those little like what's it called, Mio, or get Starbucks Via and add that to the water, and then you can't taste that unusual flavor to it.
Also, just a little note about the water at the restaurants at Disneyland. Normally, some of the tap water in California is a little suspect and tastes a little funky, like you said about the water in Orlando. But Disneyland actually has their own filtration system and their own reservoir and stuff like that of water. So they go through a little stricter process than the city of Anaheim or the county of Orange, in fact, with their water quality. So you can rest assured when you get the water at Disneyland, it's actually really good high grade water.
I've never had a problem with it. I didn't even realize that, like outside of the parks, that it might taste a little funny.
Right.
So that's yeah. I can say it definitely tastes good because I always get cups of water when I'm there. I don't even bother bringing buying bottled water and taking it with me. I just get cups of water. So
there you go.
But I do have one little last non-water related dining tip, and that is that you should get tickets to the Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic if you're going to be in Orlando, and that takes place the very last weekend of October. It's going to be on a Friday and Saturday, and it's well worth the money. If you enjoy going to the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, then if you're going to be there, you should get tickets to this as well. So, okay, That's all I've got.
Awesome.
So, Jay, where can everybody find you?
They can find me on Twitter at magicalfoodtour.com. No, not magicalfoodtour.com, just Magical Food Tour, of course. And then also magicalfoodtour.com online. Facebook, Magical Food Tour, Pinterest, Instagram, etc., etc. And then also, if you like to hear about stuff going on at Disneyland, try the Diz Geek podcast. You can find that at dizgeek.com, and you can follow Daniel at Diz Geek podcast on Twitter.
Great. As far as Dining at Disney, you can check out our blog, diningatdisney.com, and read all about the food news that Jay and I talk about in the podcast, and then some. As well as you can follow Dining at Disney on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. All of that is Dining at Disney. YouTube, if you're watching this the stream live, you know it is the Dining at Disney on YouTube. You can also pick up the Dining at Disney ebooks. They're available directly from the website. And don't forget, subscribe, download our podcast. Don't just watch it on YouTube, but take it with you where you can listen anytime you want. So
download the YouTube video or download the episode on iTunes, and if so, please leave us a review. We appreciate it. 5 stars, of course. No, just kidding. Leave us a review. Five stars
you're
would
not
be
kidding. We
yeah,
want
5 stars.
stars.
Okay, yeah, no, 5 stars would be greatly appreciated. If you leave less than that, or if you're unsatisfied with the show, then email us and we'll see if we can make it better. We're still learning.
Yes. And how do you email us? You can email us at podcast@diningatdisney.com. We also have a phone line that you can leave us questions, and that phone number is 614-992-DADP, which is 3237. So I guess that's all.
Yeah, good to go.
Oh, and I forgot to give a shout out to our network, which is Weeby Geeks Network. They host us, so shout out to them. And until next time, I'm Kristen. With me is Jay, and bon appetit.